and welcome back to the review realm. It's Sienna, and today we are going to be talking about the 2006 film The Prestige, which is directed by Christopher Nolan, because according to this poster, it is one of the best 100 films of all time, and every Tuesday I pick a new movie and I review it. So stick to the end of this video to see what my next week Throwback Tuesday review is going to be. But before we get to the review, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. The Prestige has a runtime of 2 hours and 10 minutes. It stars Christian Bale, Hugh Jackman, Scarlett Johansson, Michael Caine. The list goes on, but I'll leave it at that. The cast is amazing. And The Prestige follows two magicians at the late 1800s. One is played by Christian Bale, he plays Alfred, and Hugh Jackman plays the other magician named Robert. They were formerly working together, but then a tragedy happens with the two magicians and it leads them to go their separate ways. However, a rivalry is born. These two magicians now are trying to beat the other one, become the better magician, but it leads down a trail of revenge and obsession, which then leads to destruction. And really this film shows how they're not only destroying their own lives, but the others around them, and the trail of destruction that obsession can lead to. Not only their obsession with their craft, doing magic, but also with the other person. And this film illustrates this rivalry as well with some other characters in this film. It does have Nikola Tesla. It does take aspects from his real life and sort of add some things as well. But Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison's rivalry, that is also illustrated within this film. And they are parallels. You have Alfred and Robert's rivalry and Tesla and Edison's rivalry. And they do show how the rivalry tends to end and have the same end result, which was something watching it for the second time that I really enjoyed, seeing that parallel within the film and the use of magic as well. If you're a fan of magic, you're probably really gonna like this film just because of all the tricks that this film does. It's actually really cool and you learn about magic. I'm not totally into magic, so learning about it, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool through this film. Now, this film is non-linear, so you are bouncing around from different points in time, and I think it does a really good job to highlight how magic can be really complex, and with the non-linear structure, I really think it emphasizes that point as well. So I really did enjoy that, especially with the setting being the late 1800s, the lighting, the clothing. They did a really good job, and the cast does a fantastic job. Both Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale play amazing performances in this film, and with their performances as well as the characters and what they're doing, it's hard to choose whose side you are on with this rivalry. One scene, you could be on the side of Alfred, the next one, you're on the side of Robert, and you're constantly doing that throughout the film. You're bouncing back and forth. Who do I like? Who do I want to win? And you're really questioning yourself the whole time. Like, are you watching closely? What did he just do? Should I like him? And it really makes you reflect on yourself. Is that morally okay what that person just did? And things like that. You're questioning yourself as an audience member throughout this whole film, which I think is something that they did really well, making the audience question themselves and these characters. Like, who is the protagonist? Who's the antagonist? Because honestly, it could be anyone. You could flip a coin, and I don't know if you would necessarily be wrong or right. Two people could sit down and watch this film and come out with two different outcomes, which is something that is really cool. I do think this film is, if it's not Christopher Nolan's best film, it's definitely up there, but let me know your thoughts. What's Christopher Nolan's best film? I think this one definitely is up there. It's a really good film overall. Now, this film does have an amazing twist that you probably are not gonna guess the first time viewing it, which does really add to the rewatchability of this film because you're trying to figure out how they've hinted at this twist. So watching it the second time, that was really like my main focus. Where am I seeing elements of what happens at the end and the beginning of this story? And I was picking up stuff the whole time, so that really did help the second rewatch. But the twist, the first time, as I mentioned earlier, it really did bother me because I was like, that's kind of unbelievable, really. I just watched 2 hours and this is what I get. So there is a little bit of that, but it does make sense the more you think about it. And where else were they gonna end this story? I don't know, but Christopher Nolan, he does a good job. They play it off, the ending. It may seem a little far-fetched, a little out there, but rewatching it, you do see how they set it up throughout this whole film, and it really just adds to the story. So the rewatchability is something that makes this film stand out compared to other films. They do a really good job of it. Now, I would recommend The Prestige if you're into magic, into Christopher Nolan movies, because it is one of his best, and if you just like movies in general, because the story is really interesting, and how the non-linear, how they pieced this whole film together is also something that should be admired and looked at, and it can really help you think about this film. But now we are going to pick what is the next film, and I have a random number generator. So the next week's film is going to be Prisoners from 2013. That is going to be my next week's Throwback Tuesday review, so stay tuned for that. But down in the comment section down below, let me know if you have seen The Prestige, what you thought of it, if you would recommend it to others. But have a great day. Bye!